Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Amazonis Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for September 2023. Been wanting to update the Amazonis deck since the Crystal Revenge booster set. I've just been tinkering with some of the numbers for the different Amazonis cards. Definitely an awesome fusion style deck with the lineup of monsters you can run from the Darkwing Blast booster pack with the new fusion monsters, the new main deck monsters, and even the new fusion spell to help with the actual fusion summon of the many different Amazonis fusion monsters we now have. Also running a few generic fusion monster choices in the extra deck as well to help depending on the fusion play you want to go for. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck for our 3-ofs for the Amazonis monsters, 3 copies of Amazonis Princess. Probably one of the best searchers we have in the deck. Its name becomes Amazonis Queen while on the field or in the graveyard, which also will help for our fusion plays since Amazonis Empress needs Amazonis Queen for one of its fusion requirements. And if it's normal or special summon, you can add one Amazonis spell or trap directly from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Princess once per turn, and when this card declares an attack, you can send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon one Amazonis monster from your deck in defense position except for Amazonis Princess. So really useful for the actual special summon play of your Amazonis monster, and then just being able to utilize the different monsters you may want to summon out, like some of our 1-ofs, including Amazonis Queen with its own card effect of protecting your Amazonis monsters from being destroyed by battle, and then just having that search overall as well. Since it counts as a special summon as well to gain the search, you can summon this card out into the field with cards like Amazonis Onslaught during your opponent's turn. And I also run 3 copies of Amazonis War Chief for the last of the 3-ofs. You really don't have to run too many different cards since we also have some other cards in the deck, like Amazonis Call for more search power as well. With Amazonis War Chief, if you control no monsters or only Amazonis monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if it's normal or special summon, you can set one Amazonis spell or trap directly from your deck or one polymerization. Also, you can only attack with Amazonis monsters for the rest of this turn. You can only use each effect of War Chief once per turn, so just having access to a polymerization with the other spells and traps that we run normally not being able to be activated the turn we search them, since a lot of them are quick play spells or traps in general. Just having polymerization gives us that fusion play to go into using War Chief as the initial search power for it. Having 2 searches, just being able to search off of Amazonis Princess and then off of War Chief as well. And for some of the lower numbers for the Amazonis cards, 2 copies of Amazonis Spiritualist. If this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can target one Amazonis card you control except for Spiritualist, return to the hand. If you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extract for the rest of the turn, except for Amazonis monsters. And if this card is special summon, you can add one polymerization from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Spiritualist once per turn. But what's great, on top of having another polymerization search, you can then also recycle some of your cards like Princess or War Chief by bouncing them back to the hand, and then giving you the added engine needed for summoning them back onto the field with cards like Amazonis Onslaught during the next following turn after already searching that trap with those cards to begin with also. And 2 copies of Amazonis Spy for the last of the 2-ofs as well. You can reveal one other Amazonis monster in your hand, special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Spy once per turn, and when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target one Amazonis monster in your graveyard except for Spy and return it to the hand, or shuffle it into the deck, giving you more recycle power for some other special summons that cards like Princess can provide. But just having another reveal for more resources also helps to extend our link plays using this monster as well. And then for some of the 1-ofs for the Amazonis monsters, the 1 copy of Baby Tiger, you can just special summon this card from your graveyard. If an Amazonis monster is normal or special summon, its name becomes Amazonis Tiger while on the field or in the graveyard. And if this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can just special summon it directly to the field when you summon out that Amazonis monster. It's really the only 1-of you need once you have that set up and search with some of your other Amazonis cards. Also, the 1 Amazonis Scouts for more protection for your Amazonis monsters in the deck, just being able to tribute this card to protect them. The 1 Amazonis Queen for the protection of your Amazonis monsters not being able to be destroyed by battle while this card's on the field. And then lastly, the 1 Amazonas Gold Whip Master and the 1 Silver Sword Master. You really aren't going to pendulum summon at all in this deck, but they're in here for their own pendulum scale card effects, just being able to have your Amazonas monsters gain attack equal to their own level for each one of these cards when they're in the scale, and then also being able to target an Amazonas spell trap in your graveyard and recycle it back to your hand with Silver Sword Master, and then also having the option to destroy it on being able to attack and declare and target a spell trap on the field with Gold Whip Master. That is it for the main deck, Amazonas Monsters. Moving on now to the spells. Running 3 copies of Amazonas Call. You take 1 Amazonas card from your deck except for Amazonas Call and either add to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Amazonas monster you control. This turn, that monster can attack all monsters your opponent control and once each. Also, other Amazonas you control cannot attack. You can only activate 1 Amazonas Call per turn, but having the option for the banish as well means if you have one of your more boss monster Amazonas cards, like Amazonas Augusta on the field, in exchange for your other ones not being able to attack, as long as you can attack with a 3200 attack by monster, you can clear a good amount of cards your opponent may have on the field, just using that 1 Amazonas alone. And then having a searcher in the form of a quick play spell as well means you can potentially activate this card during your draw phase even, and then get that card, and then have your opponent not be able to respond with cards like Droll and Lockbird to it. For the last of the 3 ofs for the Amazonas spells, 3 copies of Amazonas Secret Arts. One of your go-to fusion spells, if not using polymerization. You fusion summon 1 Amazonas fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. During your main phase, you can banish the card from your graveyard once. If you fusion summon an Amazonas fusion monster this turn, you can also send 1 Amazonas monster from your extra deck to the graveyard as material, which helps with cards like Amazonas Augusta, because you have to use an Amazonas fusion monster to summon this card out. So on top of that card in 1 Amazonas, you can at least use the other cards that search polymerization, banishing your Secret Arts for the fusion play to get that additional resource, almost counting this spell in your graveyard as one of those cards. And then also the 1 copy of Amazonas Village. This is just another searchable card. In the deck, you can search it off of Amazonas Call or even your Princess, depending on what you have in your hand to begin with. For the extra destruction power, just being able to, if an Amazonas card is destroyed on the field by battle or card effect, you then get another Amazonas monster of a level less than or equal to, giving you that additional resource for summoning out that card on the field. So if you have some of your higher level ones, like War Chief, you can then summon Princess off of that card and then gain that additional search thanks to this field spell. Also, 2 copies of Polymerization. You have the search power of War Chief and Spiritualist to add this card to your hand or set it onto the field, and it's very vital for a good amount of our different fusion plays. And then also the 1 Reinforcements in the army for the good majority of all the warrior monsters we run in the main deck. The 1 Monster Reborn as well for more special summon resource back from the graveyard. And we are running the Isolde Noble Knights Link monsters, so being able to run some equip spells to gain additional search as well. So the 1 Living Fossil, the 1 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, the 1 Moonmere Shield, and the 1 Refusion. If you have the Amazonas Heirloom, you can always take out the Moonmere Shield for that additional spot, but most of the time you're just going to want to send these equip spells. You're not really going to want to search any of them and add them to your hand. And then for the rest of the spells, 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Not sure what the potential ban list, if it hasn't come out already by the time this video is uploaded, but you can always adjust the number of Pot of Prosperity as being another spot to put for cards like Amazonas Heirloom, or increasing some of your other numbers for your equip spells to have more of a sendable targetable monster lineup to then get some of your higher level Amazonas monsters off of the special summon of Isolde. But that's only if this card does get hit on the ban list prior. Otherwise, it's a very good search spell because we run a good amount of, multiples of the different fusion monsters in the extra deck to banish off the cost of this card. For the traps in the deck, I run 2 copies of Amazonas Onslaught. I really feel that 2, I was running 3 for a good while, but 2 definitely is more better for the search and setup with all the search power we have in the deck to get this card out onto the field, making it so any monster your opponent battles with an Amazonas monster banished after damage step, and then when this card is destroyed, for that option. And you can target an Amazoness monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So even if your opponent does get rid of this resource on the field by destruction, you'll have another special summon on top of that. And then once per turn during the battle phase, just being able to special summon an Amazoness monster to your hand from your hand to the field means that if you get those resources, thanks to cards like Spiritualist, back to your hand again, just being able to summon them back out again gives you those additional searches that those cards can provide as well on the field, and also the 500 attack boost until the end of the turn. And then also the 1 copy of Amazoness Willpower for the special summon power from the graveyard back onto the field. The 1 copy of Amazoness Hull, just being able to take an Amazoness monster from your graveyard or face up in the extra deck and either add to your hand, or if it's a pendulum monster, place it back into the pendulum zone. So great for the recycle power of our pendulum scales as well, using this card. And the 1 Amazoness Hot Springs for just being able to have more recycle power for that pendulum zone monster as well, taking an Amazoness monster from our deck and either setting up in the scale or adding it, and then having this card for being able to gain life points equal to the damage you took while you control an Amazoness monster. So more protection for those cards, but I feel like they're fine at 1 of, since you have plenty of search power for them as well. With the last of the traps just being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, more hand trap option because we kept our monster lineup basically just the same for our Amazoness cards, not really relying on any other monsters to have. So just an additional trap to run with the amount of back row we're running to begin with that we can set up against our opponent, and then just set this additionally also. For the extra deck, I run 2 copies of Amazoness Empress, needing Amazoness Queen and 1 Amazoness monster to make it. Other Amazoness cards you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If your Amazoness monster attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent, and if this face-up fusion card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you can special summon 1 Amazoness Queen from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So what's even better with this is because you also have Amazoness Princess count as queen while in the graveyard, it can be special summoned back off of Empress and give you an additional search off of the destruction. And then also the 2 copies of Amazoness Augusta. With this card, your opponent cannot target other Amazoness cards you control with card effects. Also, those cards cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and if this card was fusion summoned using Amazoness Empress or Amazoness Queen as material, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card is fusion summoned, you can special summon 1 Amazoness monster from your deck, just extending those plays as well. Another easy way to get some of our 1-ofs onto the field, whether they be Baby Tiger, because then we'll need Baby Tiger as well for the fusion summon of our other fusion monsters, which is Amazoness Pet Liger, and then the 2 copies of Pet Liger King, needing a level 5 or higher Amazoness monster and 1 Amazoness monster to summon Pet Liger King, and then needing the Amazoness Tiger for Pet Liger. More of the protection of making your opponent attack into these cards for those plays, and then also just more of the defensive play, having to play around the Pet Liger that you summoned on the field to match up with your Augusta or your Empress. And then the last of the fusion monsters, the 1 copy of Guardian Chimera. Since we are running polymerization in the deck, 3 monsters with different names. Very easy to summon this card out with all the field swarming, and then the additional play using only fusion materials from your hand and field with this card. At least 1 monster from each as well. And if this card is fusion summoned by a spell card or effect, you can draw cards equal to the number of cards used as material from the hand. And if you do destroy cards your opponent controls, equal to the number of cards used as material from the field. So you have destruction, draw power, and just an overall powerful boss monster to get over if you used polymerization and it's in your graveyard, since your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. And then for the rest of the link monsters, the 1 copy of Isolde with all the equip spells we run, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, the 1 Saryuja. I chose this over Apollosa just because with all the monster swarming we can do in this deck, it helps with the additional draw if you used 4 monsters for its link summon. And then the 1 Underworld Goddess for the additional monster swarm, and then just being able to take our opponent's resource to use as well. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said before, a lot can be set up depending on what searchers you have in your hand. If you go for the initial summon of Amazoness Princess with this card, then being able to add 1 Amazoness spell or trap from your deck to your hand, so then you can use your Amazoness Princess to add your Amazoness Call from your deck to your hand. So you'll add Call, and then in turn you can activate Call, taking an Amazoness card from your deck, except for Call, and either add to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can add War Chief off of this card. Then, since you control just an Amazonas monster, special summon out War Chief, activating War Chief's effect to then set an Amazonas spell or trap or one polymerization from your deck to your hand. So then, setting that card on the field, you can set your polymerization, and then just from that, from one card alone, you can activate polymerization that you set off the War Chief, fusing your Princess and your War Chief together, since Princess also counts as Queen while on the field, to then go into your Amazonas Empress, and then you have protection for some of your other Amazonas monsters you may have on the field thanks to this card, and then also having the destruction play if your opponent does destroy your Empress, to then summon back the Princess from the graveyard and gain an additional search thanks to this card once it reaches the field again. But like I said, this is just from one card, going off of the Princess to search the Amazon Call, and then the War Chief, which searches out the polymerization, giving you that 2 monster setup on the field, and still taking into consideration the 4 other cards you may have in your hand as well thanks to this card. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Amazon is one of my favorite of the original Yu-Gi-Oh decks that continue to get support. So I want to keep it up to date with some of the number changes I do make for the deck, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.